These Reapers and Predator drones fly unmanned, but these are the human faces behind them.
As a sensor operator, I control all the cameras on the MQ-9 Reaper, and I look at targets on the ground.
U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant Jeremiah, identified by his first name only for security reasons, is responsible for pointing his Reaper's cameras and making sure it hits the right targets. They look like images on video game screens, but this is real and personal. During long hours at a console like this one, even as drone pilots prepare to fire, they are reminded their targets are people.
We see anything from going to the grocery store to washing their laundry outside. We'll watch them wake up in the morning. We can almost, after watching a compound for so many days, weeks, months, we'll actually be able to set our watch to when they're going to wake up in the morning, what time they're more than likely going to leave that compound.
After 2 long wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, the U.S. touts the drone program as one that allows America to eliminate terrorists without putting U.S. soldiers in harm's way. On the ground in places like Pakistan or Yemen, the consequences are clear. Targets are destroyed, people die. Author Audrey Kurth Cronin says the Pentagon is learning more about how this reality is affecting the humans who operate the aircraft.
In some respects, it's much harder for those folks to engage in that kind of targeted killing than it is for someone who's in an aircraft thousands of feet above the ground.
New U.S. military studies find high incidence of post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, alcohol abuse, and suicide attempts among drone operators.
Gene Otto is an epidemiologist who co-authored a recent report comparing mental health issues among U.S. Air Force RPA operators and conventional manned warplane pilots.
One might think that because, again, RPA pilots are not physically deployed to combat and they're not in physical harm's way, they may carry less of a mental health risk than manned aircraft pilots. And we found that was not so. We found that there was no statistically significant difference in the rate of mental health outcomes between the two groups.
Morale among drone pilots suffered after Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel last year repealed medal awards for drone operators because of pressure by veterans groups and others. For Staff Sergeant Jeremiah, sitting in front of the screen and getting to know his targets before striking them is a challenge.
It is the most difficult part of the job, but we rely back on our training heavily to know that we're doing the right thing.
The Obama administration is under pressure from partner nations and domestic activists to curtail drone strikes. With the Air Force now training more drone operators than conventional pilots, all signs are that RPAs are here to stay. Luis Ramirez, VOA News, Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico.